Hey, welcome back to another episode of Hillspring Marriage Matters. And I know you're thinking you're only getting half the value because Lori's not here. And there's a reason for that, and that's I just want to talk to you guys. So last week, we laid out what submission means as it's laid out in Ephesians. And we want to follow up with the verse in Ephesians that says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And so I want to talk to you guys specifically, and if the wives are eavesdropping, that's okay. But I want to talk to the guys specifically about what that means. And so Ephesians 5:21, it talks about submit to one another, right? So there's the S word, submission. Submit to one another as you would for reverence to Christ. And then verse 22 is the wives, submit to your husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the house. And then it says, now, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her as a sacrifice, making her holy by cleansing her with the water and the word. So what does that mean? Right? And I know a lot of guys are saying, oh yeah, I'd die for my wife. Absolutely, I would die for her. But would you do the dishes? Would you cook? Would you help clean? Would you outserve your wife? Because that's exactly what Christ did. He served the church. He served the church. And so husbands, guys, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to outserve your wife? Or do you go to work and then you come home and expect to be served because, well, you worked all day? Well, good for you. That's what you're supposed to do. But you're supposed to do more than that. And so years ago, I had someone speak truth into my life. It was actually at a Promise Keepers event. And there was a Southern Baptist preacher by the name of Wellington Boone. If you use the Google machine, you can find a couple YouTube videos from the way back when era. But anyway, he gave a really strong message at a Promise Keepers event about outserving your wife. And it really touched down in my heart. And because at that time, I was climbing the corporate ladder and you know, I was thinking I was all that and a bag of chips, and my expectation is that Lori would serve me because, I mean, I was pretty doggone awesome. Just ask me. And when I heard his message, it really convicted me that I was supposed to outserve my wife. And because if you look at the rest of Scripture about how Christ served the church, it's not just that he gave himself up as a sacrifice, that he died on the cross, but he did so much more. And in fact, if you look at John chapter 13, verses 2 through 17, it's a story of the washing of the feet. And everyone thinks, oh, okay, we get it, you know, Jesus washed the disciples' feet. But in the context that happened, remember, it was the Passover, and they were gathering for the Passover dinner. And it was customary in those times that the host, or in many cases, the host's wife, would wash the feet of people who were coming over for dinner. And in this case, it was Peter who made all the arrangements. And so officially, Peter was the host. Peter should have been the one washing the feet. But instead, Jesus served by washing the disciples' feet. And so this was a little bit strange because Jesus wasn't supposed to be doing it. Peter was. It was Peter's responsibility. But Jesus humbled himself and washed the disciples' feet. So that's one. He humbled himself. Along those same lines, Paul writes to the Philippians that Jesus humbled himself even to death on a cross. And so, guys, how are we humbling ourselves in serving our wife? and out serving our wife. I keep score. I don't care. This was the one thing I keep score about. I want to make sure that I outserve her. Because that's the calling that we have as husbands. When it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up, the first thing that we should be thinking about is, how did Christ do that? Number one, he humbled himself. He humbled himself even to death on the cross. And so just some encouragement for you. One, it's my job to outserve my wife and make heaven on earth in our household. I want it to be a place of calm. I want it to be a place of peace. I want it to be a place where she feels her absolute godly best. And so I speak blessings over her as much as I possibly can in a way of service. So you serve by the words that you say. And here's another thing. Mark 10, verse 43 says this: whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be a slave to all. And here, get this, another example of how Christ loved the church. It says, for the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. And so how did Christ love the church? He served it. He served it. He didn't come to be served. And husbands, that should not be our expectation. Yeah, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I had a good job. I was working hard, traveling long hours. But boy, I had to dislodge myself from that thinking that said, look how great I am, now serve me. Instead, that's part of my service to Lori, is to provide her a home and provide her financial security. And so outserve. And so look at, you know what? I may not be the greatest at laundry. In fact, I'm horrible at it. And that's one of the things that I don't get to do just because I've ruined more than 1 or 2 articles of clothing. But helping to clean, cooking, I love to cook. And that's a service that I try to do. I try to help her as much as I can in anything that she does. And so here's the thing. Blow her mind. Outserve her. Outserve your wife. You know, gosh, get her spa treatments, or find out what she, be a student of your wife. We've talked about that. Be a student of your wife. Find out what she really likes and go get her gift cards to go do that. If it's spa, if it's whatever it is. Go get her gift cards. Bless her, not just on her birthday, but just bless her because it's Monday. Because it's a weekday that starts in Y. Bless her because of that. That would be a good one. Encourage her growth in Scripture. Scripture says in Ephesians, cleanse her by the washing of water and the Word. Encourage her to be in Scripture. Be in Scripture with her. Give her time, especially you husbands who have little kids. You know what? It just puts me into orbit when I hear, oh yeah, I have to watch the kids when another husband... They're your kids. It's not like you're babysitting them. When she spends so much time in the care of her children, your children, make sure you give her time. The other thing is listen to her. Women, and this has been studied ad nauseum, women have about 40 billion words a day to share, right? Listen to her. That means so much, but that's a way of serving as well. Give her a say in your business. Lori has intuition and insights that I don't have. A way of serving her is inviting her into your world in a meaningful way. Ask God to take you up to the next level. There is nothing more attractive in serving your wife than a godly man. So ask God to take you up to the next level. Ask Him to show you where He wants you to be and do everything you can to get there. Be crazy about your wife. Like set the example for your kids. Too many times we have couples that have been married 20, 30 years and it just doesn't seem like they're in love anymore. They're in like companionship and kind of a cold companionship at that. Like, be in love with your wife. We have a wedding coming up this Friday, and it's a first for me, but I get to officiate a wedding. He is 96 and she's 78. I don't know if that's considered robbing the cradle or not, but here's what I've learned in talking with them is love never grows old. But don't let your love grow old. In other words, a person's capacity to love never ever grows old, but sometimes we let our love grow old. Don't do that. Pursue your wife, date your wife, serve her. Think about when you were dating, how many things did you do for her? Why? Because you wanted to capture her heart. Don't ever stop trying to capture her heart through serving her. And finally, affirm your wife. Many times wives struggle with self-confidence. They might doubt that they're still attractive to you. So affirm your wife in everything that she does. She is awesome. She is God's child. She is a princess of the Most High. So affirm your wife. And then work to meet her needs. And this is a little bit of a plug for what we're going to be doing in the next several weeks. We're going to be going through a book called His Needs, Her Needs. But affirm and meet her needs. And her needs are affection. She needs meaningful, non-sexual touch. And I know that's hard for some guys to pull off. But she needs meaningful affection. She needs conversation, meaningful conversation. She needs you to be open and honest. She needs financial commitment, that you're going to pull your share of the weight in the household and provide for the household. And finally, family commitment. They're your kids too. And we'll spend more time on that. So here's the takeaways from this. One, outserve your wife. Keep score. Like, keep score. You should crush it. But outserve your wife. Look for things to do. Don't get caught up in, well, that's a woman's job. Don't get caught up in that. Outserve her. Have meaningful conversations. And not just the facts of the day. We talked about that in our communication video. Just get beyond the facts. How are you really feeling? Be open and honest. Speak blessings to her every day. Affirm her. Just always remind her what she means to you and how blessed you are to be married to her. Pray together every day and grow together in your faith. So anyway, I hope that hit home for you guys. Maybe just teased out a little bit of encouragement, maybe a little bit of challenge for you. But thanks for watching. And again, you can always email us at hillspringmarriagematters, all one word, @gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.